All right, let's dive into one of the areas on the 5th edition task list that, let's be honest, consistently trips people up. B10, compound schedules of reinforcement. I mean, if you've ever found yourself just staring at a question, trying to figure out if you're looking at a multiple or a mixed schedule, well, this one's for you. We are going to make these distinctions crystal clear.
Concurrent, multiple, mixed, chained, yeah, they can definitely make your head spin, especially when they're buried in a long exam scenario. And trust me, if you felt that way, you are not alone. But here's the good news. There's actually a super simple system to tell them apart every single time.
And here's why we're really focusing on this. This isn't just some tiny obscure task list item. No, this is a core piece of Domain B, the concepts and principles of our entire science. And that makes up a massive 14% of your exam. So getting these foundational schedules down, it's pretty much non-negotiable if you want to pass.
Okay, so this is it. This is the tool that is going to change how you look at these questions forever. Seriously, forget trying to memorize long, complicated definitions. You only need to ask 2 simple questions to decode any compound schedule you come across. First, are the schedules happening at the same time, simultaneously, or one after another, successively? And second, is there a clear signal, a discriminative stimulus that's telling the learner what's going on? That's it. That's your entire decoder key. So let's put it to work.
So let's start with that first decoder question, simultaneous or successive. Well, there's only one schedule that fits the simultaneous bill, and that is the concurrent schedule. This one is all about the power of choice.
So a concurrent schedule just means you've got 2 or more schedules for 2 or more different behaviors, and they're both available at the exact same time. The learner has to actively decide, okay, where do I put my effort right now?
So the absolute keyword you need to burn into your brain here is choice. If the scenario gives you a situation where the learner can do behavior A on one schedule or behavior B on another schedule at the exact same moment, then you are looking at a concurrent schedule. This is really where the matching law comes to life. We tend to match our behavior to where we're going to get the most reinforcement, right?
A perfect real-world example? A food court. Just picture it. You walk in and you can get in the pizza line, which is super fast. That's like a fixed ratio schedule. Or you could choose the artisan salad line, which is way slower. Maybe that's a variable interval schedule. You have a choice right then and there between 2 behaviors with 2 totally different payoffs. That's a concurrent schedule in action.
Okay, so we've covered simultaneous. Now we're moving into the successive schedules, where things happen one after another. And this is where we tackle the pair that causes the most confusion, multiple versus mixed. But here's the good news. The only difference between them comes down to our second decoder question. Just look at how simple this becomes when you break it down this way. They're both successive, the schedules alternate, they take turns. But in a multiple schedule, there is a clear signal, an SD, telling you, hey, the game has changed. In a mixed schedule, that signal is gone. So for the learner, one feels predictable while the other is a total mystery.
So let's focus on the multiple schedule first. The absolute key here is that each component schedule is basically announced by its own distinct signal. The learner always knows what the current expectation is because the environment explicitly tells them.
For instance, picture a classroom. When a red light is on, a student gets reinforcement on, say, a fixed ratio 5 schedule for doing math problems. But when the teacher switches to reading time, a green light comes on, and now the reinforcement shifts to a variable interval 2-minute schedule. Those red and green lights, they're the SDs that signal the change. It's totally predictable.
Now imagine that exact same classroom, but we take away the red and green lights. The reinforcement schedule still alternates between the FR5 and the VI2, but there's no warning, no SD to tell the learner that the rules of the game have just been switched. That is a mixed schedule.
This comparison really brings it home. On the left, in our multiple schedule, the green carpet itself becomes the SD that an FI schedule is in effect. The blue table signals that an FR schedule is running. The environment is predictable. But on the right, in the mixed schedule, the learner is in the same room, but the reinforcement contingency just changes without any warning at all. It's totally unpredictable.
Okay, on to our final successive schedule, the chain schedule. Now, this one is also signaled, just like a multiple schedule, but it has a really critical twist. Here, the sequence is everything. The behaviors have to happen in a specific, unchangeable order.
Getting ready to go outside is the absolute perfect example. Putting on socks is step 1. Completing that step has this cool double function. The child gets their shoes, which acts as a conditioned reinforcer for putting on socks, and the shoes themselves now act as the SD for the next step.
This just keeps going until the final terminal reinforcer is delivered. They get to go outside and play.
And this, right here, is the most crucial part to remember about a chain. That big reward at the very end is what holds the entire sequence together. So what happens if mom says, you know what, we're not going outside today? Well, suddenly, the motivation to put on socks and shoes just vanishes. That terminal reinforcer maintains the entire chain.
All right, you've got the concepts down. Now let's see how our little decoder key works on a real exam-style question, and then we'll lock in the key takeaways that you absolutely need to remember.
Okay, let's break this down with our 2 questions. First, simultaneous or successive. The scenario says the schedules alternate, so it's successive. That immediately rules out concurrent, right? Gone. Second question, is there a clear signal? Yes, the red lanyard is the SD for reinforcement and the blue one is the SD for extinction. So we have alternating schedules, each with a clear signal. That has to be a multiple schedule. See, the decoder makes it simple.
And here it is, your ultimate cheat sheet. If you take just one thing away from this, make it this table. Go ahead, screenshot this, write it down, burn it into your brain. Concurrent is simultaneous choice. The other 3 are successive. Multiple has a signal. Mixed is a mystery with no signal. And chained is a fixed sequence. This is your key to getting these questions right every single time.
So as we finish up, let's just move beyond the exam for a second. How does mastering this stuff make you a better BCBA? When might you deliberately use a mixed schedule to help build a client's tolerance for delayed reinforcement or promote generalization? Or how could you analyze a complex skill, like making a sandwich, as a change schedule to pinpoint exactly where your client is struggling? Understanding these concepts deeply, that's what allows us to create powerful, effective, and really nuanced interventions for our clients.